Alright, so we're getting ready to fly the Dart 250 once again. I've just made a few minor changes to the PID tuning. Well, basically just the feed forward and the rates on pitch. I've just kind of slid those back closer to stock. And we changed a little bit more on the altitude hold control for the PID loop for that. And again, these are suggestions, came from Mark. So let's get on with it. Let's go ahead and arm and get in the air. Because the little airplane is heating up outside. It's ridiculously hot today, but it's rare occasion where I do get to fly at midday. So should be pretty fun. We'll try it out and see how it works. So I'll be right back after I get launched. Alright, so we're back in the air now. We're flying. I've launched and switched to cruise mode. Airplane's getting bumped around a little bit. Like I said, you can see it is midday and it's a little bit windy, but not terribly so. I just want to gain a little bit of altitude. Let's try to hop up to around what's that, about 135 or so. See if it's any smoother, which it really isn't. Doesn't seem to be anyway. But the airplane seems to be flying fine anyway, nonetheless. Let's go back to angle mode.
Angle mode.
And just let it kind of trim that the board level for flying straight, level for pitch. Forget the parameter for it, I'll put it up on the screen, but it's basically just kind of auto trimming the board level right now. So I just want to let it do that. Then we're going to lose a bit of altitude. You might hear my diversity controller switching. I am using two different receivers right now. I'm going to go ahead and trigger my return to launch.
Return to launch.
See, my video receivers, I was using the little Aomway diversity receiver previously, but I switched over to the two old RC305 receivers running through the Eagle Eyes for diversity for this one. Just to see if there wasn't any real difference, and I honestly think the other one was performing a little bit better. But anyway, we're holding 300 feet on the way home. There was a little bit less overshoot than there was previously, which is kind of something that we were hoping to achieve by lowering the I, if I remember right, on the altitude hold PID loop. And if I'm getting any of this stuff wrong, just correct me in the comments. Mark may review it and he'll probably chime in if I make any mistakes here. But just kind of curious to see how it's going to loiter around my safe home waypoint. You can see my altitude hold is running quite well, even despite the bumpy air. It is holding altitude good, and that little pitch bobbing is gone now that I've lowered the feed forward back closer to stock. I think, if I remember right, I think stock was like 70% maybe. I could be wrong on that, but I know I've set it back to 80 right now. Auto tune had pushed it way up high, and we just had a narrow miss with a bird there. Little birds like to try to run the airplane off. I guess they assume it's a larger bird that they don't like in their territory. So yeah, we did get that little bit of undershoot there like we did before, but it should climb right up around 150 or so. It's actually holding closer to like 144, 145. But it should be holding like 150. You can see we're at 150 now. So everything seems to be working fine again. I don't know if changing the PID loop for altitude control made much difference here. I know backing that feed forward down for pitch. Because auto-tune had pushed that way up to like 230 something, 240 something if I remember right. It was almost maxed out, which is way too high. And lowering that seems to have everything working better like it was prior to the auto-tune on the last flight. So I mean, I'm pretty happy with the way it's working right now. You can see we are getting kind of off-center. It's actually leveling the wings there to try to get back on its course. And there is a little bit of wind today, but not a whole lot of wind, but it is a little bit coming from the kind of northeast, if I remember right. And it's east. It's either slightly northeast or slightly southeast. But yeah, you see we're still kind of getting that little kind of off center there, right around the back side of the circle here. See, it kind of banks a little steeper on this side of the circle. Then when it gets back here, it'll flatten the wings a bit. It's trying to hold that course, but I guess the wind is pushing us around a little. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to cruise mode. And I'm just gonna fly around a bit. So yeah, whatever changes have taken place, I don't see any drastic changes. But everything still flies fine, so pretty happy with it. But yeah, getting back to the video receivers, I wanted to try these RC305s because it does seem to have a little bit better image quality. They just don't seem to be as sensitive. Now it could be my antennas too, because I am running different antennas. With the Aomway receiver, I was running the circular patch array antennas. I had one large one and one small one. And on these RC305 receivers running through the Equalize for Diversity, I'm using two helical antennas, one 10 turn or maybe 12 turn. I think it's a 12 turn. I have one 12 turn and one 3 turn, which is aimed kind of in this area where I'm loitering right out here. And then my the 12 turn, the higher gain, is aimed out in the direction toward the Cowpens out east of here, where we generally fly out, where I flew out to and trigger return to home. We should have been right in the beam on that antenna, so I'm not really sure why the video was that bad out here. But it definitely was switching. You could hear the beeps on the diversity controller. It was switching, looking for a good signal, and had video signal on both receivers. It just, I don't know. I guess they're just not as good of receivers as what's in the little Aomway receiver with its own internal diversity controller. One thing I'd actually considered doing was running the Aomway receiver on one input on the Eagle Eyes, and then running the one of the RC305s on the second Eagle Eyes input, which would essentially give me 3 antenna inputs, and see how that would work out, but not really needed for what I'm doing here, to be honest. I'm just curious. I want to fly out here, as I know my antenna is aimed at the corner of these woods out here. I can see them from my house, and it's kind of the point that I aimed it at on purpose so that I would know how to stay in the antenna beam. But it definitely just feels like the video signal is not as good. I guess it maybe just switched back to the higher gain antenna there, and now it's kind of switching hunting. That's one thing I've noticed flying with the Aomway receiver. You never really see any signs of it switching. Whenever it's doing its thing, you can't really tell. It just kind of works in the background cleanly. The Eagle Eyes definitely likes to hunt for a video signal, which you can see out here. And we're definitely getting some pretty good bumps out here. I noticed my recording actually looks a lot worse than what my monitor that I'm flying on. It seemed to lose sync there for a minute. So what you're seeing in the recording is not as bad as what I'm seeing on my monitor. I just thought I should probably point that out. So let's go back to angle mode, just out of curiosity.
Angle mode.
And see if it holds altitude, see how well it trimmed everything. Push my power back up closer to cruise. We do seem to be losing a little bit of altitude, and well, actually we're gaining now in angle mode. It's settling right down. So yeah, everything feels good. It's trimming itself out like it should be. Trimming the board, trimming the servos. Doing a fairly good job of handling the gusty wind midday like this, especially when the sun is out hot as it is right now. You tend to get a lot of that midday heating and thermal activity, and the air is just generally rough. For a small wing like this to fly as smooth as it is, which obviously it's never going to be perfectly smooth and feel like a much larger airplane, but it's definitely smooth and acceptable. So we've been in the air for about 10 minutes now. I just wanted to do a quick follow-up and test those other changes and see if we could get that little pitch bobbing out by lowering the feed forward and raising the rates a bit on the pitch axis, and that definitely seems to have worked. And another thing I wanted to see is how the pitch feels in angle mode. Yes, I have a lot more pitch control now than I did. Go ahead and throttle up and pull. This is full back stick. We've got plenty of pitch axis there. Control on the pitch axis anyway. And I will cut the power back and we'll push full forward stick. So everything feels good there. So I'm going to go ahead and power back up. I'm going to switch to acro. So we're in acro now, and I just want to see how it compares. Oh yeah, that's full back stick, full forward, full back. We do still have that little bit of weird pitch coupling, but I mean pitch and roll coupling anyway, but I still think that's a physical mechanical issue on the airplane, and no amount of tuning in the flight controller is going to fix that. I'm trying to climb up to this bird up here right now. See how high he is anyway. Be careful we don't get too slow. There's actually two birds up there. They're probably some buzzards or turkey vultures. We call them buzzards. Let's switch back to angle mode. Gonna cruise around a little bit, see if I see them. I see one of them up there. You see those dark clouds up there forming. There's probably some thermal lift. There's another one straight ahead of us actually. There's definitely some thermal lift up here, and we're climbing pretty quick, pretty steep. Let's see if I can get behind him. He actually turned off. Yeah, we're getting rocked around pretty good up here. So let me go ahead and lose altitude. I'm a little too high anyway. Go ahead and cut the power and hold the nose down and get back down to a little bit smoother air and closer to the ground. And set up a landing, and we'll go ahead and end the flight now. So we did everything we wanted to do and ended up playing around a little bit at the end there, but everything is acceptable. I'm happy with the way the airplane feels and flies. You see just how much smoother it is when you get down here low. So yeah, we were definitely getting up into some of those rough thermals up there. Probably keep a glider up for hours today if you wanted to. But that's not the goal of this video. So I'm actually going to keep a little bit more power on, watch my speed, do a nice landing out here on the runway. Nice. Smooth landing. We still spun it around, but that's okay.
Acro mode.
Let's switch to acro. We'll disarm. We'll check the summary screens. And there's all your information if you want to see it. So we'll just let that cycle while I close out the video. I'll thank you for watching it. Of course, to all my channel supporters, be that Patreon pledges or YouTube channel members, greatly appreciate all of you and the support that you give me and for what I'm doing here and allow me to keep doing it. And big thank you to Mark for helping me get this little airplane tuned up and playing around with iNav5, and everything seems good. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one out, and stay tuned for the next video. I'm not sure what it's going to be. Probably won't be the Dart 250 anymore. We'll change gears a little while, change lanes. May actually fly the Skyhunter. I've been saying I need to get it out again, so I might do that again just for fun one day when the weather's good. So keep an eye out for that. Unless something else comes up, we'll maybe do something different in the next one. But that's the end of this one. Thank you for watching it, and I will see you all next time.